Now we'll describe and demonstrate how to complete a 2x physical assist pivot lie to sit transfer. Before we start, it's important to discuss that this is not the go-to or the ideal or optimal transfer method. This is very sparingly prescribed, and it's for those that have an extensor tone or decreased hip flexion ability or other hip pathologies. Once again, very sparingly prescribed and must be carefully assessed and directed under the therapist. So we'll see that we always want to make sure that the client or consumer is at to the top of the bed, and we'll make sure that they cross their arms over their chest before they roll. In consideration of any potential hip pathology, we'll make sure we put we'll place an abductor wedge between the consumer's legs or a pillow if no abductor wedge is present. We'll instruct the client or consumer to look where they're going to roll. The pusher will apply the force. The receiver will support, guide and reassure the client or consumer to remain in the side-lying position. The slide sheet is then positioned underneath the dependent parts of the client's body. At this point, it's the hips, the shoulders and the head. We'll tuck in the slide sheet as able, minimising any risk of any skin tears from the tucking procedure. We'll roll the client back onto their back, and then the job becomes rolling to the other side to remove the slide sheet. If the tucker has done a sufficient job, you can avoid the roll back to the other side and unravel the slide sheet so it remains underneath the resident or client's body. The abductor wedge is removed, or the pillow in case of the absence of the abductor wedge, and we raise the bed to an appropriate working height for both participants, making sure that the slide sheet doesn't go more than a hand's width to the edge of the bed. This will make sure that there is a friction surface to prevent the client from slipping off the edge of the bed upon the pivot lie to sit transfer. In this instance, we're assuming that the resident or client has some level of head control. We'll support through the shoulders, asking the resident to support their head where possible. One carer will support the upper trunk around, while the second client or carer will assist the lower limbs around into position. It is a coordinated transfer and must rely on significant communication between the two staff assisting. The slide sheet will assist the pivot round. When the client's facing 90 degrees to the edge of the bed, the staff member in the front will lower the limbs, support the knees, while the person at the trunk will assist the client up into a sitting or a perch stand position.